Tonight, our special coverage on Israel's war in Palestine on its 41st day. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. Today is the 41st day since Israel started bombing Palestine. Israel's attack on medical facilities continues. The director of Al-Shifa Hospital says approximately 7,000 individuals, including patients, medical staff, and civilians seeking shelter, are trapped in the hospital. It is the largest medical facility in the besieged region. He says 22 hospital patients have died overnight. The complex is cut off from essential services such as water, electricity, and communications. An Israeli army raid on the Ibn Sina hospital complex near Jenin refugee camp in the West Bank has left at least 14 people injured. Separate air attacks on Jabalia refugee camp have resulted in at least 18 casualties. Gaza is currently facing a communications blackout due to a lack of fuel for generators. Hamas says U.S. President Joe Biden and his administration are directly responsible for what they term ethnic cleansing by Israeli forces at the hospitals. The World Health Organization says it will set up field hospitals in Gaza. United Nations representative Martin Griffiths says there is a dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Griffiths says 41,000 housing units have been destroyed since Israel's war in Palestine. The Palestine Red Crescent Society is demanding an immediate intervention for the safety of their teams. It says its teams are trapped as Israeli tanks encircle the hospital. The Israeli War Cabinet is set to allow the entry of 2 fuel trucks per day into southern Gaza in response to a U.S. request. Israel's chief of staff says ground operations will expand in Gaza without providing further details. The collapse of the enclave's health system has hindered the updating of the death toll for days. Some media reports say the last updated toll has exceeded 12,000. In contrast, the official death toll from Hamas's attacks in Israel is approximately 1,200. A comprehensive analysis conducted by the Canadian news outlet The Breach shows a bias in the coverage of Israel's war in Palestine by CTV National News. The report shows CTV has featured 62% more Israeli voices than Palestinian voices in its news shows. The analysis covers the month of coverage from October 7th to November 7th. The analysis shows that CTV did not identify 41% of its Palestinian speakers by name. It reveals that Israeli and Israeli Canadian guests receive more airtime than Palestinians. In total, 133 Israelis and Canadians with connections to Israel have appeared on the media broadcasts. In contrast, only 82 Palestinians, including civilians and officials, have been featured. Out of these, 34 Palestinians were presented without any information about their identity. The report highlights instances where false claims by Israeli military officials have been aired without pushback. CTV has also been criticized for not providing context about Israel's ongoing blockade and occupation of Gaza. Advocacy groups are criticizing CTV for the prioritization of Israeli perspectives during Israel's invasion of Gaza and its human rights violations. The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, an advocacy group for Israel, is under scrutiny for accusations of spreading disinformation and fake news. In a now deleted post, the group said that a recent pro-Palestinian student rally in Montreal featured provocative slogans against Jews. The tweet alleged that students were chanting, "Judah, Judah, you can't hide." The group had expressed concern about the impact of such rhetoric on Jewish students. The tweet questioned the safety of Jews in schools when such threatening language was being used. However, multiple sources report the students were actually chanting, "Trudeau, Trudeau, you cannot hide." This chant was to compel the Canadian government to take action regarding Israel's war in Palestine. The controversial tweet has since been deleted by the group. The organization has not issued an apology for spreading what some have called misinformation. Vancouver Police say an officer has been injured after scuffles with protesters outside a restaurant where the Prime Minister was dining on Tuesday night. The police say nearly 250 protesters were present outside the Chinatown restaurant. They were chanting, "Ceasefire now," and displaying Palestinian flags. The police helped control the crowd to facilitate Trudeau's safe exit from the premises. Videos circulating online depict the police creating space for Trudeau as he leaves the restaurant. The police say the protest was spontaneous and the police were not informed in advance. A 27-year-old man had been arrested in connection with the assault. Another 34-year-old man was arrested for obstructing the police but was later released. Police used a taser and other physical control tactics during the arrest. The organizer of the protest says Canada should take a clear stance on Israel's war on Palestine. In a landmark trial in Windsor, Ontario, Nathaniel Veltman has been found guilty on 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder for deliberately running over a Muslim family in London. After less than 6 hours of deliberation, the jury delivered the verdict to a packed courtroom. The victims, Salman Afzal, his wife Madiha Salman, their daughter Yumna, and grandmother Talat Afzal were killed in the attack in June 2021. The couple's 9-year-old son survived but was seriously injured. The family and friends of the victims were present in the courtroom. They were visibly emotional as the verdict was read. Veltman's defense acknowledged that he drove into the family, meeting the legal threshold for manslaughter, but it disputed the intent to kill and the characterization of the act as terrorism. The defense argued Veltman's actions were influenced by mental health issues. The trial marks the first time Canada's terrorism laws have been presented in a jury trial for first-degree murder. The jury did not specify the path they took to reach the verdict. The sentencing date will be determined in a subsequent hearing on December 1st and 2nd. The sentencing phase will address the question of terrorism, which will potentially impact Veltman's eligibility for parole. A conviction of first-degree murder in Canada carries a life sentence with no chance of parole for at least 25 years. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.